going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. And what we're going to be getting in today, we're getting into a project that is long overdue and I've been wanting to get to for a minute. We're going to be going into my LJ's transfer case because I cracked it. So the plan for this video is what I first want to do is I want to show you guys and talk to you guys about how I broke the transfer case, how I cracked it, because it was completely preventable. I wouldn't have known it beforehand, but now I've learned the lesson the hard way. So I want to try to make sure that others out there don't learn the lesson the same way. And then after that, I'll go ahead and show you the damage at the same time. And then we're going to go ahead and just crack into the transfer case. Now, the goal of this video is to determine whether my transfer case is salvageable, as in I can just order some parts and replace them and then, you know, get my transfer case back into the LJ, or if I have to just completely outright get a new one, which will more than likely be an Atlas at that point. All right, I got a plan in place. Risks are acceptable. Let's go ahead and send it. All right, so how did I crack my transfer case? So I was heading out to the San Diego Jeep Club's Big Bear trip that I believe was in July, so about 2 months ago. And I was getting onto the freeway. As soon as I got past 45, 50 miles an hour, somewhere around there, I started getting real strong vibrations coming in. And the thing is that my front tire was flat, and it had been sitting in my garage flat for about 3-4 weeks. So I thought maybe my tire was out of alignment and that I would just press on through and maybe it would balance out. And basically, long story short, I got about 10 miles down the freeway and I hear pop! And the sound went away momentarily, and then it came back, and then I'm like looking around trying to see what was going on, and then I start seeing smoke coming out the back of my Jeep. So immediately pull over off the freeway. I start inspecting things. I'm seeing a lot of transmission fluid coming under, and for those that recall that have seen my Rubicon trip, I thought maybe my my transmission pan had maybe got a leak or something. Something was wrong with my transmission because of all the transmission fluid. But when I went down there and I took a look at it, the transmission was absolutely clean. Well, relatively clean. The rear main seal I need to fix, but everything was clean. So as I took a little bit look further back, I could see all the action. When I mean by action, I saw a lot of the spray and everything back there by my transfer case. So I went back there and I took a look at the transfer case because that's where it was dripping the most, was right beneath my transfer case. So I was suspecting it was my transfer case, but I couldn't see anything, any leaking or anything otherwise. It appeared it had already, for the most part, leaked out, and so that was a concern. So I decided to go ahead and get completely off the freeway, and I started the Jeep up, and I was only about a mile from the off-ramp. So as I was going down at no more like 30-40 miles an hour, and I wasn't hearing any issue. I wasn't hearing any grinding. Everything was seeming fine. So to be honest, and I don't necessarily recommend this, I chose to go ahead and drive it 10 miles back home on the side roads. Again, only doing about like 30, 35, 40 miles an hour. Not getting to the point where I hear that vibration. So I realized it was the issue. I didn't do it on my own. I actually reached out to a friend who I value the opinion a lot, very knowledgeable on Jeep, and I was like, hey, take a look at these. Let me know if you see anything. Do you think it might be my transmission, or do you think it's my transfer case? Because right now I'm not seeing anything. So the picture that I'm showing you right now, as soon as he saw this, he's like, hey, your drive shaft was loose. And sure enough, like, you know, my the bolts were back, I don't know, a quarter of an inch or maybe a centimeter or something, you know, they're back. And the thing is that I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt is, even if I would have got under as soon as I felt that vibration and I didn't just write it off as my tire was out of balance, and the reason why I thought that is because the steering wheel was shaking a little bit, and I wouldn't have even have checked that. So that's why I'm telling you guys, you know, if you're getting just some weird vibration, check the drive shafts, make sure they're bolt down pretty good, because that's the case it was for me. So the reason why I was able to verify that is because as soon as I tightened it down, I took the Jeep around the block, got it up to about 45 miles an hour to where I started feeling that vibration, and absolutely no issue. So I was like, you know, oh, and the other thing that I forgot to mention is I was coming down I lived at the bottom of a hill, and so when I went down the hill, I put my transfer case into neutral, I put my transmission into neutral. I still had the tone, so that's why I was even more leaning towards it had to be my transfer case. But at least this point, even though I identified that the original noise was my drive shaft, I hadn't yet identified the part, although I was pretty confident in the transfer case. So hoping I somehow dodged the bullet, I cleaned it up real good. I went under there with some degreaser, pressure washed it, got it at least somewhat relatively clean compared to what it was just a little bit ago. And then I started filling it up with transmission fluid, the correct fluid for my transfer case. And then as soon as I got almost completely full, I could start seeing that the transmission fluid was starting to come out a crack. And that's when I identified I had cracked my transfer case. So since then, my Jeep has been in the same spot where it's been ever since. I did get my transfer case out, and that's where we're going to go ahead. Got it out on my own, as a matter of fact, not necessarily an easy task, but I was able to do it just nice and slow and easy, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go ahead and crack into the transfer case. I haven't cracked into one of these things before. I've watched a couple of videos, so that doesn't necessarily make me an expert, but I have mitigated some of the risk by doing so. And the other way I'm going to mitigate a risk by doing something that I haven't done before is I'm just going to take my time. I'm obviously going to be using these videos, these clips, to go ahead and document the steps that I took to get to this point, because again, if this is salvageable, I'm going to have to put it back together. And so that's the goal, is to document this, identify if I got to replace this transmission or not, this transfer case or not. And if I can at least rebuild it and just replace the housing of it, then I'm going to go ahead and all the internal parts are good, then I'm going to go ahead and use these videos to go ahead and rebuild it. All right, let's go ahead and crack into this thing and let's see what we're working with. So this is a T30 Torx, and I'm going to be pulling off the speed sensor. Great, if this is any indication of what this is going to be like, going to have some fun time. Even this thing is, I'm already starting to strip the bolt here, so I need to get this off here. I'll do that off camera. Well, after some heat and damaging this bolt permanently, I finally got her off with had to run to get some better vice grips. All I had were these needles nose, and that wasn't putting enough grip on it. And what I mean by permanently destroyed it is once this thing catches on, you can see I attempted to go ahead and cut the ability to use a flathead screwdriver, a big one, but even that wasn't working. So after many quarter turns later, got it out using the vice grips. All right, so we got this out. Looks like I cut into the plastic here, but I didn't really damage it right here, so that's good. Go ahead and put this to the side. So the next parts I'm going to go ahead and try to pull out is the flange and then the half crescent yoke back here. The hard part is going to be, this is where I've seen people struggle the most. So being that others have struggled, I'm going to go ahead and probably have significant problems here, but hopefully I'm successful. But the plan to get this off, I'm going to be using an 1 1/8" here at the front while I'm holding with a big crescent wrench in the back. So we'll see how that works or not. That came out a lot easier than anticipated. Okay, let's do the back side now. Okay, I wish the speed sensor would have came off that easy. That's a lot better. So I believe this should slide right off now. Do a little. All right, I'm not having much luck on that right now, so let's go ahead and pull out this position indicator switch, or attempt to. There we go. Okay, that was somewhat eventful. I've seen others take that out no problem, but of course it's giving me some issues. Let's put that to the side. Take this piece here. All right, next I want to go take these off. I believe these are 10 millimeter. Alright, I'm going to see if I can pry this up. Yep, comes right up. Alright, next we got to get this thing off. So let's go ahead and grab a paper towel. Extra, oh, that came right up. That was right up. Okay, that came right up. I need to now pull that pin out. I believe this will come right out too. Yep, coming right on out. She set right on down afterwards. So I'm assuming that means I can probably pull her out. Let's see here. Nope. Alright, so next I'm going to go ahead and undo all these bolts and see if I can go ahead and pull this thing on up, pull the top off, and get a good look inside. I do anticipate taking it all apart, but I'm going to see if I can at least get this part off and start reducing its weight and maybe drip out some of the extra oil to where I want it to, other than falling on my floor. This final one is a 13 millimeter. Yeah, and it's the only one that has a washer on it too. Appears to be the longest one also. Alright, next we're going to pry this up. Believe I can do, let's see here. Put this right here, hold that in place, and all right, and it is separated. Let's go ahead and open her up. Exactly what I didn't want to do, I just did. Let me go get my oil catchment. Alright, so I do want to show you my sort of strategy here as far as I do organizing the bolts and everything as I take them off. I'm trying to keep them with the parts. That way, maybe not these aren't necessarily in the exact order in which they were pulled off, but they were pulled off from this part. So at least that's going to tell me where these came from. So that's what I'm going to try to do to organize things as I take things off. The neighbor's gardeners just started turning on their equipment, so I had to go ahead and close the door. It's a little bit darker in here now. But the other thing that I'm saying is that I also want, as far as organizing my stuff, is I'm trying to keep things the things that I took off first, I'm keeping far to the left, and then I'm going to use this space as I move to the right to hold additional parts. So that's where I'm going to be placing all the parts of the internals of my transfer case. And coming over right now, I am not noticing anything that is out of the ordinary other than the crack going through the entire housing. So we are going to go ahead and continue pulling this thing apart piece by piece, trying to identify if this is even salvageable. I'm trying not to say, you know, so far it looks good, because I've been having bad luck, just period. So I don't want to, you know, jinx myself. So we're going to go ahead and press on and start removing some of these pieces. The one thing I am curious about, but that I do need to test before we take this off, is the play. I'm not sure if that's too much play. That's, I don't know, maybe about an inch or so of movement, maybe a little bit less. I'm still, if I do go ahead and decide to rebuild this, I am going to replace the chain anyways, but I was just curious to know how the chain is holding up. It seems like it might not be holding up too bad. Probably getting towards the end of its life, but not too bad, at least from, you know, my ignorant standpoint. Looks like it's doing all right. I figure if it gets bad enough, I can go ahead and just voice over, but let's go ahead and pull off this assembly, the spring assembly here. Next, I want to see if I can go ahead and pull off, looks like I need to take off, yep, 2 ring clips here. All right, we got to go ahead and move these. Now, I believe these should just slide on up now that I got them off. Next, the shifter should come right on out. Yep. And I believe the shifting bar right here too. I'm not sure about the shifting mechanism though. Yep, that was easy. Now let's try the shifting mechanism. Coming right out. All right, so next I need to go ahead and turn this over and drain all this extra fluid out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch the top part with this bottom part and drain out the rest of this fluid. I did drain all the fluid until it started dripping out, but there's still this much left. So I'm going to go ahead and drain this out, and then we'll press on with removing the rest. So I did want to show what I believe this is metal striations in the oil. I'm not 100%, but when I did open it up, the good thing is the metal, the magnet was doing its job and took the piece and held it in place. Let me show you here. So this magnet right there kept everything, I think, from moving around and screwing up, at least minimizing any damage that's in there. Again, I haven't inspected to see if there is damage yet, but I think that metal may have saved the day. Correction, that magnet may have saved the day. So I'm going to go ahead and try to remove the planetary out of here before I continue to the other side. So in order to remove this gasket, we got to go ahead and, it's recommend. I've seen people basically drill screw into it and then pull it out. So that's what we're going to do. Well, unfortunately, I didn't catch it on camera, but this is what you had to do. You did have to drill through it. This is the steel part right here, so it has to go through. And once it starts biting, you'll know when it gets through. Then you just get through just a little bit more and go ahead and pull it on out. And I pulled it out by doing it like so. It was on there, and then I just used the leverage of the bolt right here and pulled it on out like so. All right, I have another snap ring to take care of. This was the most challenging part so far. All right, next we're going to go ahead and remove all these bolts. Just as I did before, I'm got to break it with this, and then we'll go ahead and move it on over to the impact drill. Okay, so there's a pry point right there. I got all the bolts out, so now it's going ahead and let's see if we can, how easy this is going to open up or not, knowing my luck. It actually looks like it's going to be not too bad. All right, I got her all loosened up. She should pull right on off now, so let's see how she does. There we go. Oh, I pulled the whole planetary and everything out. All right, let's go ahead and set her down. So something didn't come out as I was expecting the planetary to come out, but since that didn't happen, I'm going to go ahead and see if we can't pull this part out. Looks like it's coming with just a little bit of finesse. Okay. First inspection, this appears to be in pretty good shape. I got maybe a notch right here. I'll show that to you here in a second once I go through all the damage, if I find any more. So I was expecting the planetary to come out, so let's go ahead and lightly tap and see if it... All right, here's the planetary, got it all taken apart. I'm going to inspect this here in just a second. What I ended up having to do is, and again, I didn't catch it on camera, I just kind of came over here, gave it a couple of shakes over the wood, and it popped right out. So now we're going to go ahead and continue on taking it apart. I'm going to see if I can't get the rest of this out right here. Hopefully I didn't do it in an order that is going to prevent me from getting that last piece out, but this, I'm anticipating this shouldn't be so bad. Yeah, of course. Alright, so... Alright, all I'm going to do is turn this off. I'm not going to bore you guys with me struggling with this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off, and when I get that pulled out, we'll move on to the next step. A couple soft whacks with the mallet, and here she comes. Okay, next I got to try to get this thing off, and I believe this should just pop right on out. see if we can try a little finesse here. Got you on camera this time. All right, after a little bit of heat, I got the Torx screw bolt out, so let's go ahead and remove the rest of the shifting assembly. Shifter and the bolt. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these. Hopefully you can see them here. Let's take a big look at this Mamma Jamma. This is a plastic piece that will get replaced with the rebuild kit if I rebuild it. Let's take a look at these. These gears appear to be in good shape. 3 out of 4. All right, the planetary appears to be good. Oh, and there's a piece in here moving about. Got to make sure it stays there, so we'll keep that there. So I'm not sure how well that's coming out, but there's the only ding that appears to be there is that I've seen so far is this one. And it doesn't affect any of the teeth. To be honest, yeah, it looks like I might have shaved out just a smidge at there, but I think I'm going to be all right with that piece right there. Let's take a look at the teeth. We'll start with the outside first. A little bit of debris, but I can easily just wash it off. Let's take a look at the inside. All right, that one looks to be in good shape. Take a look at the outside first. Here's the other gear. Take a look at the inside. Well, I've just pulled up, so let's see in here. How's this piece looking? This piece looks like it has some wear, but I'm not seeing anything excessive. Maybe down here at the bottom too, but I'm not seeing any cracked teeth. For the most part, it's looking pretty good. All right, and same with this piece. I'm seeing a little bit of wear, like maybe a slight ding or just a little bit extra of a mark. Just a little bit extra wear and tear, but I'm not seeing any... I'm not seeing any major, like, well, this seems like it's a rubber piece on top there. That's what's used to kind of align these on. Other than that, I'm not really seeing too much. This appears to be in at least doable shape for me to go ahead and rebuild it. I will clean this up and see if, make this look extra nice prior to going in. All those appear to be exactly uniform. So taking a look at the inside. Really not seeing anything out of the ordinary on the shifting assembly. All right, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. So in conclusion, I did decide I am going to rebuild and not replace the transfer case. Yes, an Atlas transfer case would be awesome, and I just decided, I don't want to put the money there yet. I need to put it for other places. We got to live within the confines of our means. So I've put the parts on order, the rebuild kit and the housing that I need to replace, and that should be arriving within a week. So I'm looking forward to that getting there and then assembling everything. And of course, I'll bring you guys right along. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.